Hey guys, Shepard Holla here, and this is what I'm going to be running in a modern daily event in just a minute. Um, so this is a red, green, or mostly green, breach post, or breach shift, I have it labeled. It's a deck that some people played at the Pro Tour. I played a mono green version of this, but I actually did come up with the Through the Breach version, but I didn't give it any thought until after the Pro Tour. Just because of time constraints. So now I'm playing it because it actually is better, I think, than the mono green version. Through the Breach lets you, it gives you a much higher percentage of being able to win on turn 3, or not just win, but like Emrakul attack them, put them in a position where they can't win. So being able to do that is pretty good in this format and very important for this deck because the bad matchups are mostly just the decks that kill you faster than you can kill, like a Twin. Twin can't really kill you faster, but they can usually just disrupt you, then kill you. Um, so let's go through the deck card by card. For our land base, we got 27 lands, which is, I think, the correct number. The deck needs to draw lands, and it doesn't actually play 27. There's an Ivugan, which is not really a land, and there's two Dried Arbors, which hardly count as lands. So really, there's like 25, but it definitely needs a lot of lands. Um, and of those lands, we've got our 4 Cloud Posts, of course, and 4 Glimmer Posts, and 4 Vesuvas. And then we've got 5 Forests, 4 Verdant Catacombs. So our total amount of turn 1 green sources is 10, which is kind of low. I really would want to play one more if possible, but it's pretty hard to do that. I mean, the only cut that I could really make to have another forest would be Gruul Turf, but that card it's been pretty good for me, so I've been running that. And then we've got our Mountain and Stomping Grounds to cast our Through the Breach, as well as our Fire Spout and Combust on the sideboard. So our Mountain is fetchable by Tribalder, and our Stomping Grounds is fetchable by Verdant Catacombs. So that's our land base. And then moving forward from there, we've got our 4 Amulets, which allow Scapeshift to win in the same turn cast, and also just untaps Cloud Posts, which, I mean, that's kind of fine, but just being able to win Escape Shift is obviously what it's there for. And it can also ramp you up if you draw multiples of them. You can use it to ramp just from like 3 to 5 mana with Stomping Grounds or fetching for Stomping Grounds, or same thing with Secure Tribalder. And with Gruul Turf, it gets really insane. You can go like turn 1 Amulet, turn 2 Amulet, Gruul Turf, add 4 mana, bounce a Gruul Turf, explore, Gruul Turf again, add 4 mana, cast Titan. And I've done that once, so I don't know, that's kind of stuck in my head. So then we've got our 8 Accelerants plus Zenith, which is actually 12 Accelerants, that are pretty mandatory. I kind of want to play more, but 12 is all I have room for. Then our 4 Scapeshifts and our 4 Through the Breaches, which are our win conditions, obviously. They can win between turns 3 and 5. 1 Oracle is our Tiny Titan to Zenith 4. It's not amazing in the deck, but you do want to have something, I think, between Elder and Titan to Zenith 4. And Tiny Titan is the perfect card for that role. And then we've got our 4 Titans, of course, which they're not very good against the fast decks. They're really good against the aggro decks, because you can just gain life off these, and then if they don't deal with it, they're going to lose. But mostly it's in here because you can Zenith for it, as for the aforementioned aggro matchups, and also because you need more Through the Breach targets. So with Through the Breach, you can play the Titan, attack, get 4 lands, and if you have an Amulet in play, you can usually win the game that turn. If you don't have Amulet in play, you can just get like 2 Cloud Posts and 2 Glimmer Posts or something, whatever you need. If you need to gain life, you can do that. If you don't need to gain life, just get 3 Cloud Posts and an Eye, and then should be able to win next turn. And then we've got our 4 Eldrazi. The 1 Ulamog allows you to Scapeshift with 4 lands, or no, 5 lands. So you can get 4 Cloud Posts in the Eye, search for Ulamog and cast it. Yeah, you do want to have one Ulamog so that you can, like, in certain situations, just be able to search for it and cast it in the same turn when you can't cast Emrakul. But then we've got our 3 Emrakuls because they're much better when drawn, and they're obviously much better through the breach. You can cast on turn 4 if you just draw 4 Cloud Posts, or if you escape shift into 4 Cloud Posts with Amulet in play. But you can also do it with 6 mana and escape shift, getting the eye, 4 Cloud Posts, and any other post. And then we've got our Zenith, which I mentioned already. Zenith is mostly just a Dried Arbor. It's mostly just a 1-man Rampant Growth. But it can also get Oracle in the mid game, and gets Titan every turn after that, basically. And then you can also get Secure Tri-Welder if you need to. It's actually better than getting Dried Arbor whenever you have 3 mana, most of the time. So that's the main deck. It's a pretty good deck. Definitely wins on turn 3 to 5, almost every game. Even through Disruption, you can usually win on turn 5 or 4. And for the sideboard, I've got 2 Combusts, which are for Twin and the Infect deck. Actually, you've got kind of a package for those 2 matchups. You've got the 3 Seals and the 2 Combusts that come in, and they deal with all their possible threats. Those 2 matchups are definitely the worst ones for this deck. So I could definitely see myself adding more cards for those matchups. Well, specifically Twin, because for Infect you actually have Trinisphere, which is actually really good against them. If you cast it on ideally turn 2, they can't kill you until they have either Blighted Agent and 3 mana in the combo, or something a lot more mana, and they can't cast any counter spells for free. Can't cast Snapback. So if you play this and they somehow manage to Blighted Agent and then Blazing Shoal you can still combust. But if they to get to that point, you can usually win the game before that happens. So then we've got our Forced Fire Spouts, which are mostly for Gaddock Teeg. Obviously, they're very good against plenty of aggro decks in different scenarios, but you just have to have an answer for Gaddock Teeg most of the time. 2 Acid Moss for the mirror match. I didn't want to devote too many slots for the mirror, so I've got 1 Tectonic Edge and 2 Acid Moss. And the reasoning behind those cards are, for the Edge, you don't want to have Glimmer Posts in your deck against the mirror match, so I usually cut 2 Glimmer Posts and I want to bring in a land to replace those with, at least 1 land, so Tectonic Edge gets a slot. And then the Acid Moss, because it sets them back a turn, at least a turn, and you up a turn, and it costs less than Plow Under, and I think it's more impactful than Beast Within, so that's what I went with that for. And it doesn't really matter if you're getting a forest or whatever you're getting, because usually you're going to win with Escape Shifter through the breach. So just destroying one of their Cloud Posts or their green sources, getting yourself a land is usually pretty good. 3 Sealed Primordiums for Twin, for Affinity, for Blood Moon, Ascension, things like that. I mentioned the Edge. The Edge really doesn't come in against anything else. Well, it depends, I guess. If you're putting out Dried Arbor, you could sometimes bring in the Edge. And then Trinisphere for the Infect deck, as well as Ascension. Any Storm decks, there's plenty of Storm decks. So that's the whole deck, and let's go ahead and get started here.